12th of April every year is celebrated as the International Day of Space Flights. Let's test your knowledge about iconic moments in human space flights. Here's the first question. What was the name of the first artificial object to leave Earth's atmosphere and reach space? It was Sputnik 1 of the USSR or the Soviet Union. It was launched by the Soviets on 4th of October 1957 from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in the then Soviet Kazakhstan. Your next, what was the name of the first living being sent to space? It was not a human, it was Laika, a dog. She was sent on board the USSR Sputnik 2, launched by the Soviets on 3rd of November 1957. However, she died in the space. Now, who was the first human to go to space? It was Yuri Gagarin of the Soviet Union on board the Soviet Vostok rocket launched on 12th of April 1961 from the Baikonur Cosmodrome. Next one. Who was the first woman to go into space? She was Valentina Tereshkova of the Soviet Union on board Vostok 6 rocket launched on 16th of June 1963. Another one. Who was the first human being to conduct a spacewalk? It was another Russian named Alexei Leonov. He was launched into space on board the Voskhod 2 spacecraft on 18th of March 1965. However, his spacewalk lasted just 2 minutes. Now, who was the first woman to do a spacewalk? It was another Soviet cosmonaut, Svetlana Savitskaya. She performed this feat in 1984. The Americans call their space travelers astronauts. The Russians call them cosmonauts. And the Chinese, what do the Chinese call their space travelers? The Chinese call their space travelers taikonauts. Everybody knows that Neil Armstrong of the United States was the first person to step on the moon or lunar surface. Who was the second person to step on the moon? He was an American astronaut, Edwin Buzz Aldrin. Neil Armstrong commanded the Apollo 11 mission, while Edwin Buzz Aldrin commanded the lunar module that landed on the moon's surface. The third crew member, Michael Collins, flew the command module which was orbiting the moon. Neil Armstrong and Edwin Buzz Aldrin landed on the moon on 24th of July 1969. Another one, which was the first space station to be launched. The Salyut space station was launched by the Soviet Union on 19th of April 1971. The next one, which was the first man-made object to leave the boundaries of our solar system. It was Voyager 1, launched by NASA on 5th of September 1977. It crossed into the interstellar space in August 2012. Another one, who was the first American to go into space? Alan Shepard, who was on board the Mercury spacecraft Freedom 7, which was launched by NASA on 5th of May 1961. Another one, who was the first space tourist? Dennis Tito of America, who flew to space on board the Russian Soyuz TM-32 spacecraft. He paid the Russian a cool $20 million for his space trip. Now, which was the first spacecraft to orbit another planet? It was NASA's Mariner 9, launched on May 30, 1971. It reached Mars orbit on 14th of November 1971, beating the Soviets. Now, here's the tricky one, which was the first spacecraft to land on an asteroid? It was NASA's Near Shoemaker, which landed on an asteroid named Eros on 12th of February 2001. That's all. Thank you.